This is number 91, a Belfast ghost story. Okay, this is just going to be a preface. If you read any book, you'll find that there's a preface, and this is just going to go into a little background. Let's go into a little background in behind the story, because there's very little information out there on this story. Very famous in Belfast, and this is chapter 1. But before we start, about 91 Beechmount, this story is obviously based in Belfast, written by John Skillen, who was the family member in the home, the father, John Skillen, and I believe the son helped write it. But number 91, based in Belfast and Beechmount Grove, and they actually knocked the house down years later. So number 91 Beechmount, there is many different opinions on this story. There's people say that it's fake. There's people say that it's true. I do not know personally, because I didn't witness it. I was not a witness to these events, so we have to take it upon faith that this story, there's people say that this story was made up in order for the family to acquire a new home, to get the government to move house. But I think if you're going to make up some story that you need a new property, I think using a poltergeist as an excuse, you're really going to look crazy. Do you know what I mean? Why make something like that up? Why come up with that? But let's go back here to this forum here, and there's a debate. Now this forum goes up to the very present day, this Belfast forum, just on discussions and conversations around this book, around the topic. And a guy said in the comment section that it was fake, and everybody knew it. Everybody knew that it was fake. And another commenter said to the person, well, that's not true, because I know people that lived there and they claimed that it was true. So this person here, Zippy, he actually started this thread that has over 100,000 reads. So this person, Zippy, says, and so we'll just read out the comment here. I used to live in number 97, and the family who lived at 91 where the poltergeist lived too. Very nice people. There was a lot of strange goings on in the whole estate. So this person has obviously experienced what was going on. Now we can't prove it because it's just a comment, but it's this comment down here is very interesting. and I'm going to read you the story chapter by chapter, but I can add in my own bit of information that might add a bit to the story. You might be listening, and if you're from Belfast and you do know anything about the story, please comment. If you don't, excuse me, if you don't live in Belfast, but you have any story that's similar, please let me know in the comments. So, back to the thread here. Yes, about the information that I know, I worked just like this Irish Jerry, this member here. Irish Jerry. I worked with the guy personally. Now this is me speaking, not the commenter. If you're watching the video, you'll be able to read away. But if you're listening, if you're just listening and you're not watching, this is me speaking. This isn't a commenter, but I used to work with a guy that actually was there that night that loads of shit went down, and the guy never told me. The guy never told me about it once, and it was only until years later my uncle had told me that the guy that we worked with lived in the same estate. I think he was the next door neighbour. And I said to my uncle, why did he not talk about it? And why did you not say? And my uncle said he hates it. He hates talking about it. He says when he talks about it, he gets nightmares. And so that's what I know. I have spoken to a couple of people that know the family, so it'd be very interesting to get in touch with them. But so I'm going to go back to this thread here. Irish Jerry. John Skillen used to live in Ballymurphy Road. He married a girl called Greta. So this commenter, he's making a comment. Now I'm going back to the book. And I'm not beginning to read here, but if you look in chapter 1, the second line, my wife Greta. So this guy in the comment section obviously knows. He's probably read the book. You could say that he's read the book and he's just ramming off exactly what's in the book, but this guy seems to know John. I remember John. I'm coming back to the comment thread here. So John Skillen used to live in Ballymurphy Road. He married a girl called Greta. I remember John worked in the Sloanes as a manager, and Sloanes is a pub that's close, but this is Beechmount, where he's from. In Sloanes as a manager at the time, and a load of lads said they would join John and stay the night at his home to find out what was going on there. So a bunch of people more or less went to help him, and one of the guys that goes to help him in the book, that's who I worked with in joinery. That's who I worked with, one of the guys who went that night to help, and they went with sticks. They actually went, my uncle told me, they went with hurling sticks. And I swear, so back to the comment here. So a load of lads said that they would join John and stay the night at his home to find out what was going on there. I do know that not one of them returned back to stay or even called at John's home again after their stay there. The things that went on in that house must have been bad for John and Greta. after being hit and thrown about by whatever was in the house for weeks. Greta ended up in a wheelchair. Her eyes had a black ring around them after what happened. It's crazy. Both John and Greta suffered psychological after effects of their experiences living at 91. Poor Greta died not long ago after moving from the house. John can be seen at a shop facing the wee park Falls Road, a far cry from the man he was when he was young. Very sad, whatever happened to this family. So, John can be seen at a shop facing the wee park on Falls Road, and this is the Falls Road here, and I believe the park where he's talking about is here, Dunville Park, and I'm nearly sure he lives around here. I could be wrong. Excuse me. So it's a very interesting story, and this story is a very bizarre one, because when the paranormal activity began to get really bad. Now, if you're just listening here, I'm looking at Google Earth, Google Maps, Clonard. Yes, here, St. Paul's Church. So see, when shit started getting really crazy, this talks about it in the book. This talks about it all in the book, that when shit started going crazy, they went to St. Paul's Church, and a priest came round to investigate, and it was so violent that the priest just cancelled. Alt F4, close window. Apparently the priest ran away and told the family that the church can't do anything. There's nothing the church can do. But I believe that the priest sends them to here, Clonard Monastery. And there's a really old school, dedicated priest who's experienced in demonic activity and stuff, and he comes and helps, and he stays over at night. But I believe the priest in St. Paul's, I think he gets a black eye and a busted nose, and his face is cut, and I think he's too afraid to go up the stairs. There's many different stories about this, but I myself have experienced, me and my family have experienced paranormal activity, and we're going to go into all this because this stuff interests me. Jeez, the wind here. I'm not too sure if you can hear that. Scary. But yes, so this thread, so this is very interesting. This is where it is. This is Beechmount Grove. This is where the haunting took place. And number 91, I believe, was here. I'm not too sure if anybody around the Beechmount area knows about it, but so back to number 91 and talking about a preface to the book. I've got a story that a very nice lady sent me a couple of years ago, and I've got the story here. This is it here. I will read this out. This has nothing to do with number 91, but before I was talking about phenomenology, and if you're new to this channel just listening, phenomenology is a very deep subject, and it's the discipline of phenomena, the appearance of things or things as they appear in our experiences, or the way we experience things, thus the meaning things in our experience. It's a very deep subject, but it's all to do with being a witness, and if you're a witness to something, it's now a part of philosophy, or so. We'll continue reading. Phenomenology studies conscious experience as experienced from the subjective or first-person view. This field of philosophy is then to be distinguished from and related to the other main fields of philosophy: ontology, which is the study of being or what is; epistemology, and apologies for reading, epistemology, is that it? I'm sorry for getting that wrong. The study of knowledge, logic, the study of valid reasoning, ethics, the study of right and wrong, etc. And it really goes into philosophy, but if you read deep into this, it talks about witnessing a phenomenon that cannot be explained, just like a ghost. It's a phenomenon, and when a phenomenon, this is what's so crazy about this story, that if you read these threads and stuff, it does go into it in the book, but this happens in front of multiple people and during the daytime. See, when all stuff happens, and I believe even police witnessed, because the whole street was going crazy. But it's a very interesting story. And before I fully read into the story, this is just a preface and a background into the subject matter, because we're going to go deep into this, and there's nothing more entertaining than the paranormal, but this is a very interesting story here that was sent to me a long time ago, and there was an image that, so I'll read out the story here, and if you don't want to listen to the story, you can just stop the video, and the next video is going to be chapter 1 of number 91, and we're just going to continue on. I really don't know how long each video is going to be. I really hope to get it up as much as possible, because people have been saying to me that they enjoy listening while driving to work, or listening while they're doing big long drives. There was a guy, what do you call him? I forget the guy's name, apologies, but he told me that he done like a 15-hour drive in America, and he was listening. So this is going to be the perfect type of stuff if you're willing to listen to stories for quite a long time, because I listen to multiple different Let's Read on YouTube. Let's Read is a great channel. What else? Of course, Nuke's Top 5. love all that stuff. Obviously, a lot of it can be faked and hoaxed, but very interesting. A lot of my friends, me and my friends, have seen some crazy shit, um, some real crazy stuff. But back to the story. I don't want to talk about me. I can do a separate podcast on just people's stories. I'm gonna have people on talking to me and talking to other people about their stories, and I want your story to get out there. And if there's anything, by the fire, talking by the fire down here, anything goes, and a few people like it, I think. So back to the story here. This is just a preface. So it was a beautiful summer's evening, West Belfast, 1986. West Belfast is here. This is all the west. This is all the west, but part of the west is also White Rock and the Shankill. A part of the Shankill, and we're going to do plenty of stuff about cross community, stuff about the troubles and whatnot. But thank God there's no violence now. But apologies. Back to the story. So it was a beautiful summer's evening in West Belfast, 1986. We lived in a street close to Falls Park. Falls Park. Sorry. Here's the Falls Park here. So a house around here. From our house you could see the playing fields and pathways and the Black Mountain in the distance. The sun was still high in the sky and still bright enough to illuminate our bedroom through the closed curtains in an orange glow. I could see the old bunk beds in the corner and the detail of the bracket on the ancient wardrobes. I never liked them. They always had to be closed when we went to bed. From outside I could hear the calls and cheers from other children playing football. That was when me and my brother saw something that terrified us. And these are like the bunk beds. I was 11, my brother was 12, and we had been scrapping or fighting or just playing around. And we had been scrapping. Mum gave us a clip around the ear and sent us up to bed early. Our older siblings were out enjoying the day's final race, and upstairs of the house was quiet and empty. It was too early to sleep. My brother jumped down from the top bunk as we lay side by side like two runner beans in my bottom bunk, talking, laughing and messing around. You would be able to beat who would be able to beat whom in a fight, and what would you do if you were invisible just for a day? What would you do if you had £1,000,000? We kept our voices down. I should actually follow because I'm struggling to actually see this with a weight. We kept our voices down. Mum was downstairs, and if she heard us enjoying our punishment, there would be more than a swift clip in store for us. We had been chatting for about 3/4 of an hour, then it happened. We had no warning, no sense of what was about to reveal itself in that moment. A figure swung down from the top bunk, head and shoulders, like it was on a spring. Its hair was long and greasy, frayed and worn. The face sunk in. The face sunk in on itself, emaciated and withered. It happened so quickly and so unexpectedly, my brother and I barely had a second to process it. We were not sure if it was the face of a woman or a man or something else, but we both saw it. It swung down and back up in a flash without making a sound from the top bunk. My brother and I looked at each other in horror and pulled the covers over our head. The sun shone through the summer duvet. Did you see that? Did you see that? Was all we said for the next minute. I was desperate for him to say no. He saw nothing. Shut up and stop being a wimp. But he did not. My brother saw it. We both did. Still silence in the room. Not a sound from the top bunk. We couldn't move with fear. We couldn't even shout out to Mum downstairs. It wasn't a ghost. There was no faint apparition, no glow. Whatever the head was, in that instant, it was there and real and in the room with us. We lay there for hours, hugging each other, waiting for the practical joke to be revealed, for the relief to come. From beneath the covers we watched the sunlight dim and then darken into night. At some point we both must have fell asleep. So that's an old email that I have, and it's really strange. Apologies for my reading. So that's a very strange one. As if it came down on a spring. Isn't that a strange story? Apologies for my reading there. So a figure swung down from the top bunk, head and shoulders, like it was on a spring. So it just must have popped down and back up. Its hair was long and greasy, frayed and worn. Maybe like a girl or something, but very, very, very strange. Very strange. But yes, so that's really just the preface, and trust me, the reading will be much better than that attempt. Really hurt my eyes there for some reason. I was struggling to actually read those words. It was so wet, but this is better, you know. This is so much better. So this is a couple of lines of chapter 1. Chapter 1, Friday the 2nd of June. We lived in 91 Beechmount for about 4 years before being driven from the house. That's a start. Very, very, very fast. There was 7 of us in the house. I mean very fast as they lived in the house for about 4 years before being driven from the house by this entity, whatever it is. And the house was destroyed, but there was 7 of us, me, my wife Greta, and our children. John, our oldest, was 16 when the occurrences started. Mark was the second child at 15. Paul was the next, and the 2 youngest were Jared and Joanne. Greta and I were married for 17 years. The house itself was like any other house, a terrace council house with 4 bedrooms, 2 of them downstairs. So this is just paints a picture of where they are, and it had a bathroom and a separate WC water closet. A lot of people don't actually know that, but WC is a water closet, but it had a separate water closet or WC upstairs and a large back garden with a few apple trees. We didn't have a front garden, so when you opened the front door, it opened right onto the street. So I'm going to stop reading now, and if we go down to Beechmount, we're down to Beechmount here, and these homes here, see this? See these homes? That's the way 91 Beechmount was. See the way there's no front garden. You open your front door and you're out in the street. That's the way it was up here, from what I believe. See all them homes. So that's the same similar layout of number 91. That would be the same type of houses. These houses were maybe built in 2005 maybe. These new homes. And they need to do the same with these. But apparently the entire street was going crazy. But this is just really the preface into number 91. And apologies for my reading there, and the girl who sent me in the story. If you're reading that story, I apologize for my horrible reading. But if you have any stories, and don't worry, as crazy as they are, it's a part of philosophy, and this is what we're going to discuss here. Philosophy, and it's a part of phenomenology. So if you have any phenomena, any story that you witnessed, and you seen the appearance, as it says here, the appearance of things, or things as they appear in our experience. So what did you experience? So thank you very much for listening, and I'll enjoy reading comments and listening to people. So thank you very much, and God bless.